All right. So hello, everyone, and welcome. Happy Thursday. And I want to give you a big warm welcome to the Live with Leslie show. And I am really excited about what I have in store for you today. It is a topic that I absolutely love and one that I've never really delved into in a public setting yet. So really looking forward to talk more about online summits to grow your list. And we all know how incredibly important list building is inside of each of your businesses. So really a great topic. So specifically, we're going to be talking about online summits, leveraging relationships to amplify your reach, and essentially how to grow your email list, increase your authority in the industry, as well as how to connect with other health professionals, right? How to, collaborate and help each other out in terms of growing your respective lists. In particular, let me give you just a quick rundown of what I hope you will walk away with today, right? The specific results and outcomes that we're going to try to touch on today. So we'll be covering strategies for leveraging relationships to amplify your reach, how to create an online summit that actually engages your attendees. That is huge. Tips for using online summits, again, to grow your email list, grow your audience, as well as the tech and tools required to create a successful online summit. And I am really looking forward to introducing to you the one and only Dr. Susan Plank. And so happy to have you, Susan. Thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Yeah, great to be here. Thank you.
All right. So Susan is a rock star. You will discover that for yourself as we get into this conversation. And she is from basically doing the Weight Loss Reboot Summit. So she's going to talk a little bit about her experience in running that particular summit. And actually, it is going on as we speak, and from Norwin Wellness. And so I think a great place to start, Susan, would be me turning it over to you and you sharing just a little bit about your background. You've got a really interesting background, and just if you could share a little bit about that and how you got to this place, right, where you are now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure, absolutely. So my name's Dr. Susan Plank. I was trained as a chiropractor. So I've been in practice over 30 years now, and up until the pandemic, I had 2 brick and mortar practices. Sort of one-to-one patient care. I'll tell you, probably my nutrition practice started about 20 years ago, but it ran, parallel to the chiropractic practice. And that was really that I just saw, again, as a female chiropractor, so many women's needs, because a majority of my clients were female, that their needs were just falling through the cracks of the healthcare system. So things like digestive health, and then fatigue and bone health and weight. And so that's really what started my path with nutrition. So along comes the pandemic, and many of us sort of fell into the same boat of, what the heck do we do now? And I had been wondering a couple of years before that of what is my life going to look like as I get older? And I want to start to travel and I have different goals in life goals more than professional goals, but different life goals that I want to make sure I'm able to do before I get to the point that potentially I can't do them. So I use the pandemic as a true pivot point of I want to make my retirement happen now. And so I started on then the journey and use the pandemic of what do I need to do to have a strictly virtual existence and a thriving nutrition practice online, strictly online. So that is what I've been working on since then. 3 years ago, in an effort, so I need to backtrack a little bit. Of course, I've been in business all these years, and never once did I think emails were important. I've talked to people on the phone, talked to my clients on the phone, right? I saw them in
Different model.
person. What the heck there was a line on the intake form for email, but it was
Never
on a
used
form
it, right?
buried in files. And now all of a sudden, guess what's important? Contacting email addresses, right?
Yes.
So it became the primary focus then of you need to have somebody to talk to, right? You need to have somebody that you can present your offerings to. So growing the email list, then when the pandemic started, became my go-to. I would
Yeah.
still obviously try to make sales and things like that, but it was, I need to grow my list if I want to do this strictly virtual and strictly online. So 3 years ago then was my first summit, and each year it's been the Weight Loss Reboot Summit. I can change it up a little bit in the marketing. So some of it's wellness, so I can have different providers on, and it does not all strictly weight loss. But that's sort of my convoluted history that got me from chiropractic to where I am today, within the middle of a week of actually running the summit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
P.S. You're in the thick of
Yeah,
things, right?
yeah,
So
exactly. That's
again,
right.
like,
And I'm
thank you
still
so
smiling. So
much.
yeah, exactly.
You're still smiling. I love it. So yeah, and it is not, it's no small feat, that's for sure, running a summit, and you're doing a heck of a great job. So thank you again for taking
sure.
time out. I
Absolutely.
think the timing is especially ideal because you're right in it, right? It's not
Yeah.
like we're talking about something you're gonna do a year from now, like you're
That's
in
right.
it. So
Right.
so that's great. So in a nutshell, you sold your brick and mortar practice, right?
I
And
actually still have one location. I sold
okay,
the other location, which
yeah,
I did that actually to sort of infuse some capital into. I knew that to do this the right way, and that I was going to need some guidance and some coaching and some
yeah,
help. And so that was the impetus of, plus it made me realize I'm not going back, right?
so good.
I'm moving forward with this plan. And so I still have another office that I'm getting ready to sell, because I'm sort of
Yay.
moving all forward. Yeah, all
I
forward.
love it. So I just want to acknowledge, I mean, it's a courageous decision and move.
Mhm.
And the reality is that I hear, I would say, especially practitioners in the chiropractic field, I've talked to many who have this dream, but kudos to you for actually implementing, because it is really kind of a leap of faith in some respects.
Mhm.
And it definitely takes some courage to actually go through with it. So bravo for you. And
Thank you.
yes, the emails, right? It's
Yes,
all, oh my
it's
gosh, that is
all
probably
about
the most
the
important
email.
asset in these
Yeah.
businesses. And guys, this goes for every single person on this call today. Okay, whether you're listening to the replay, whether you're listening, as we live stream, it is absolutely critical, right? So we must be focused on growing our email list regularly and consistently. And of course, we want to try to attract the right people into our world. We want to attract the right people, which is a whole nother topic. Nonetheless, so let's jump into some of the content, this juicy content that we have to share today. So I think um, let's start by, I guess, helping our audience understand what we're talking about with a summit, right? Now, in all fairness, I believe, many people in our audience have probably seen these summits, right? I think for a while they were really popular. It seemed like every time I opened email or went on social media, I'd get an invitation or, see something on a summit. Things seem very cyclical, and I don't see those as often now. So now they're just kind of, they pop up here and there. But for our audience, what is a summit? I guess the simple question, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, so the summit, in all honesty, what it is it's a way to, and you can really personalize this that works for you. And so this is, again, the third year I'm doing it. The first year, in this third year, I'm doing a 5-day summit. I'm doing like a lunch and learn. So I have other health-minded, very similar-minded professionals, experts, sharing their knowledge as part of sort of that lunch and learn, right? Last year, what I did is I did a 1-day summit, which is all just professional, expert after expert after
Yeah.
expert. I really prefer, it's nice to get it all over with in one day. This is a little bit more drawn out, but you get to spend more time with each presenter. So a summit in essence is a way to sort of collaborate with friends, colleagues, folks that are like-minded, that have something to do that you can make a parallel with, that you're doing in your practice, in your in your realm, your atmosphere, and yet you can bring them in and allow them to present, and it's you're getting sort of the recognition of the advertising for it, and bringing everybody together.
Yeah. So in your situation, you're putting on the summit, you're producing the summit, you're holding the summit, right?
Right.
And you're also choosing the speakers that are featured for the summit. So
That's
so
correct.
I think one of the takeaways here for everyone is that I think the best summits have some kind of a theme, some kind of a theme. And I know based on what I do know about your summit, we're really focused on women's health, right?
Yes.
Topics that are going to be appealing for women's health.
Right.
And so generally that's where we start. We instead of it just being like this huge, like nothing in common kind of, getting anyone and everyone to speak. I think it makes sense to start with choosing kind of a theme for the summit, and moving from there. And that way you can decide, who do you want to invite? How do we fill those speaking slots so that we have a nice variety of speakers that can contribute to this overarching theme or topic, which in your case is women's health.
Yes, without a doubt. And it also worked out, it happened to work out that all the dozen presenters are all women. So this year was sort of a no-brainer that it's the Women's Wellness and Weight Loss Summit. And the landing page, which you can see, it is the Weight Loss Reboot Summit. So if you're interested of sort of how that looks, you can go to Weight Loss Reboot Summit. If I can get out of the way there, right?
Are you able to do a screen share by chance? I don't know if do you see the button for screen share? Oh, beautiful.
There we
go.
It's
a beautiful thing when things work out, right?
Yeah, exactly. When it comes. So again, here's our lineup so this would have been on Monday, right? Day 2, this would have been on Tuesday. Day 3, right? Day 4. So tomorrow will be coming up. We'll finishing off the week, and then I tend to make myself sort of the last speaker because I want to.
Yeah.
But again, if you're the producer of the summit, you can do it the way you want to do it. You get the pick, right? That's right. You get the pick. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So can you scroll to the top of the page? Is this top? No, it's the bottom. Can you scroll to the top?
Sure.
Okay. So okay, cool. So you've got a nice banner. All right. So basically the way this works, for those of you that may not be super clear on how exactly this helps you to build your email list, the person that is doing all the legwork, in this case, Dr. Plank, she gets all of the opt-ins. What do I mean by opt-ins? It's, all the people that register, they give their name and their email address, and that goes directly into Dr. Susan's list. Okay. So that's how it works. It does require a little bit of tech, but not terrible, would you say? I mean, I know
it's really not terrible. And here's the thing, Leslie. The first year, right? The first year, there's going to be a little bit of an expense to get
Yeah.
someone, to set this up for you unless you're really tech savvy. I am not tech savvy. But the reality of it is year to year, all that's going to change are the dates, the year, and then who you choose as your presenters, their information. Otherwise, the overall landing page stays exactly
Yeah.
the same.
So the
So once
branding, like all the heavy
exactly.
lifting is pretty much done after
Mhm.
that when you first create it.
That's correct. And then what would happen is, and I'm not sure if you want me to do it, but if you click on the claim your
Yeah.
ticket
Mhm.
now, it's going to take, down here. We can come down here. There's multiple ways. You see, again, multiple buttons. Again, it's all
Yes,
about the email, capturing the email. So
it is.
multiple ways we have it set up where you can register. It appears you can register for one presenter, where in reality, these are all going to be the same link. So you're not,
Yeah,
in this case, we're not going to be sending out, 12 different
exactly. Okay.
links. So, you want to make sure that when this is set up, if it's something you're going to try to do yourself, make sure you sort of understand how the whole thing works and what the point of it is. But register here, and then we're going to go to, here we go, the next page, right? I tried everything. And
Yeah.
again, this is what you want. That's the most important part, to get their
Yes.
email and their name. They're now yours. They're on your list.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay, that's beautiful. So basically, all of those individual register now
Mhm.
buttons um take them to the same page.
That's right.
Okay, got
Exactly.
it. That's
Yes.
brilliant. So like just from a logistics standpoint, it's just so much easier to do it that way,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So, all right, super really looks great.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, I guess I'm kind of getting into the nitty-gritty a little bit even before we get into like what types of content, right? That
Mhm.
we're going to want to include. Because I
Mhm.
know one of the biggest questions, and I'd love to, see your comments in the chat if this is you. I think many slash most of people in my audience would love to do something like this, right? It'd be really
Yes.
cool. You grow your list, like lots of residual benefits to doing
Yes.
this type of strategy, but it's like those moving parts that can be a little overwhelming, right?
Mhm.
So I would say,
Absolutely.
like, if we're going to help break this down into a few steps, pick your theme, like what's the look and feel? What is the
Mhm.
overarching theme you're going for here? I would, of course, if you're going to do this, you want to attract people into your world that are a good fit for the work you do, right?
Right.
So that,
That's right.
that's a consideration as well. So you don't want to be completely off topic as compared to your target audience. What are the other steps? Like if we're going to try to break this into somewhat of a framework, just a really loose, easy kind of a framework, just to help people think through this, what would you say is the next step?
Sure. I'd say having again, your target. Who is your target? Don't be too broad, but you want to be broad enough that you can bring in other experts, right? Because the more voices sort of saying the same thing, then it really helps drive the point home. So make sure that you are going to have that tech component, that tech piece. You're going to have to purchase a URL, which is under the tech piece, right? So I do that, and then whatever it is, $10 a year or something, I just hold on
Okay.
to it. Yeah. And then you're going to want to look at, who do you want to pull in to share the spotlight with you? Who do you trust? Who do you value? And so make sure that they're sort of reputable. They're doing things the right way, that you're going to bring them in to be presenters, because it is your baby. This is
Yeah.
your baby. And I'd say then you really want to make sure that you're keeping everybody informed, your own email list, the presenters. You have to have a little bit of organization to get them lined up and make sure that you're collecting the emails. And then there's going to be some follow up at the end. But again, it's really not that, it's not that complicated. It's really
Yeah.
not that complicated.
Yeah. It's
And
not.
it is fun. It is fun. There's parts that feel so much pressure that it's maybe nerve-wracking, and then you come out and go, woo, we did it, right?
Yeah.
We're look how far we in the week already, right?
So
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
Yeah. And I will say, just to kind of piggyback, another decision point is, is it going to be live, or are you going to pre-record?
Correct.
And
Yes.
in Dr. Susan's case, she decided that she wants to do it live, right? Just to add an
Yeah.
element of excitement. And I think that makes a ton of sense, right? So, and I think even just from, okay, so alternatively, let me just say, if you do it like pre-recorded, what that's going to require is each of your presenters that you've chosen, they're going to have to submit their presentation. And let me just tell you, sometimes it can be a little difficult to kind of chase down the presentations, right? So like on one hand, I want to say, well, it might be faster to do it that way, but on the other hand, I don't know. I think if if you got some stragglers that, aren't as responsive, honestly, it might be better just to do it live. My tendency would be to do it live because I think it adds like a sense of excitement, and most people, I think, would prefer to attend something live if at all possible, because they have a chance to ask questions as well, right? And tell us a little bit about the format of each session, Susan.
Sure. So I sort of before each session, we sort of talk about, hey, this is the way it's going to be. So I want my preference is that each presenter, so this year we're doing 30-minute slots. Each presenter has a 20-minute presentation. So you really want to make sure that they can stick to that. There would be nothing worse than if you have somebody long-winded, and especially if they're first, you're going to push everybody else back. You have to have that respect for everybody's time. But the reason I do this is, and we walk through just sort of like Lesli does. If you have questions, put them in the chat. Lesli tends to be, man, she just hops on them. We're doing it towards the end. The reason is that I found in the years of doing this is that question and answer. And I also have each presenter give me, because I want them to succeed. My goal is to educate the audience, but I want each presenter to shine. They give me their 5 to 8 questions where they can knock it out of the park. Okay. They are the go-to person on that topic. And what happens is those questions are going to be asked in that 10-minute window, as well as questions from the audience. This is when, because we tend to be too clinical, I'll throw it out there. We tend to be too clinical. Let's keep the clinical in the presentation, and let's use the Q&A to let your personality come about. So why are you connected to your topic? Do you have a personal involvement, a family member? That brings out the emotion, and the audience is going to connect to your story. So that's sort of how I have it set up. 30-minute increments, 20 minutes presentation, 10 minutes Q&A. And then at the end, I have a little window where typically I'm doing some giveaway, something from my supplement line, or a $25 Amazon gift card, something along those lines. It doesn't have to be much, but you ask a question from the presentation, and it keeps people then engaged as well.
So can you summarize what's in it for the speakers?
Sure. So the speakers, so what's happening is we have speakers. So for this summit, this is my first international summit. So we have speakers from all over the United States and Canada. And so what's happening is, as part of the agreement that they are sort of coming in to be a presenter, is that they are willing to market to their audience. So we're each going to market to our own audience, but then also, as the producer, I'm paying for Google and Facebook ads. The thing is,
Right.
the other presenters, I cover the cost, but they reap the benefits of that. So we're growing, right? We're using our own lists to get people to sign up, and then we're going outside of it. So if you can
Yes.
imagine, for this 12 presenters, right, across the United States and into Canada, we're hitting a pretty good segment
Yeah.
of the population of folks that are in our target group that want to have answers to the problems they're experiencing, their symptoms. And so we're doing that in conjunction with each other at the same time, and it all fits in with the branding, the colors, the graphics and things, of how all this is presented to the public in emails and also on social media.
Okay.
Yeah.
So essentially, each person that participates, including yourself, agrees to send solo emails, X number of solo emails to their respective email lists, and also to promote it on social media
That's correct.
for the good of the group, right?
Yes.
Kind of the
Yes.
collective good. And then, for the individual presenter, they are able, just by their talk, like people will attend the talks that they're interested in, and
That's correct.
and hopefully they'll get clients that way. And the other thing I would add here is that each presenter is able to do a little pitch, right? And
That's
typically that's
absolutely right.
free.
That's absolutely right. And that's usually one of the follow-up questions,
Okay.
is how does an audience member, you've touched them, how do they work with you? How do they get in touch with you? So we're sharing that information in the chat. I have my assistant putting the links into the chat.
Yeah.
Each presenter then is also offering a free giveaway, which is usually their download and their landing page link, which is very important. So they now can collect the email and names of the people going to get their download.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, so typically it's not like a pitch for a paid program, that probably would not be appropriate, but like a freebie, a downloadable freebie for each,
Right.
presenter, so that the audience can get on their respective email list.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay.
That's right.
So
And an example, so like one of the presenters reached out already today, and in just minutes after finishing their
yeah,
presentation, they already had a couple of signups onto their email list
right.
from what they were giving away. So you want to really entice them, right?
Yeah.
Entice them with what your download is, what your free giveaway is. But that's how you're also going to grow your list, is by collecting emails in their name.
Yep. I love that. So guys, it really is a win-win. I think that's hopefully that's becoming very apparent. And it is a great way. I think it's such a great way to elevate your brand, really position you as the go-to expert, because you're the one running the summit. And even if you're a presenter, it really does so much to help your brand and your business. So let's get into a few things, such as the type of content. Do you feel like, do we want to add anything in terms of the type of content to include in an online summit? Do you have any additional thoughts there?
Not necessarily. Some folks are doing a sort of Google Slides. Other folks are doing a
Okay.
PowerPoint presentation. Some are showing a product, right? And
Okay.
just talking about a product. And other people are just sort of verbalizing, walking folks through their thought process of why they might be experiencing symptoms. So we really have
Cool.
there's no concrete one way to do it.
Yeah.
Just sort of what works and what's comfortable.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. So you just want to approach it from the perspective of what's going to be compelling enough to entice the audience to make that step forward with me. Right.
Yes.
So how long would you say an online summit would last, or ideally should last?
Uh, I think honestly, if you're starting out at your first one, I think 5 days might be a little much
Yeah.
because it's going to take up a majority of your time. And there's also, like Leslie alluded to, that communication with everybody when you get more
Right.
than a handful, it's something invariably gets lost, right?
Yeah.
In email communication, and you don't have the time to talk to everyone. So a couple of weeks ahead, it can be a little start to ramp up a little bit. The week of, it calms down a little bit, but you almost have to find your own rhythm of every day you're doing this at a certain time to sort of get into okay, we're going live in an hour, and
Yeah.
put things out there, right? Put things out there on social media, and I want your mindset to constantly be whatever you can do to get that email. You're gonna that's just do it to get the email, right? So yeah,
I
exactly.
love that mindset. You've embraced email marketing for sure, which I love because
Kicking and screaming, but here I
I'm
am.
all
Yes,
about
exactly.
it myself, like borderline obsessed.
Yeah,
So
that's right. You have
like
to be. You have to be.
you do. If you're in an
Yeah,
online space,
that's
you
right.
have to be.
You
And
have
it's
to be.
interesting because I have a hunch that many people are not, right?
Mhm.
But we'll get you there. All
Yeah.
right. So okay, so in terms of the duration of a summit, 5 days might be a little on the long side. It sounds like
Yeah.
prior to this year, it sounds like you ran it all in a day.
Well, my first year was 5 days, and then believe it or not, I actually came down with COVID last year. So
Oh,
thank goodness it was a 1 day. I had COVID when I did the 1 day last year,
oh,
and I was
brutal.
very thankful that I did. So again, I want
Just
you to
get
feel
it over with.
comfortable. Yeah, exactly. But when you're doing the planning, you don't know that that's when you're
Yeah.
going to get sick or something's going to happen. So I would say keep that in mind. If you are a caregiver for someone else, you have a lot going on. A whole week, 5 days is going to be a lot.
Yeah.
Chances are something might pop up. So maybe you start with just a couple presentations, or maybe
Yeah.
you get comfortable with doing a webinar yourself, just to
Right.
get out there before you sort of start to branch out and bring other people into your world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a really good point. Like that could really be a great place to start. Do your own webinar, kind of get the hang of that and how to promote that and then potentially move into this format of doing a summit. All right. So what about social media? I think one of the questions is, well, how do I get people to sign up? Like, where are these people coming from? Especially since the goal is to grow your list as the summit organizer. So tell us a little bit about, I guess, specifically around social media in terms of promoting.
Sure. So again, you're going to have your social media channels that work for you or that you're comfortable with.
Mhm.
If you're not comfortable on Twitter or Instagram, then you might want to dabble on it, but you're not going to spend a lot of your time there.
Okay.
For me, it tends to be Facebook and Google. I get a really good response
Okay.
through those. So that's where I chose then to put extra money and
Yeah.
put money into advertising on those Google ads and also Facebook ads.
Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
so and to be clear for everyone, you as the organizer paid for the ads,
that's correct.
right?
Yes,
So
yes.
it's just, and it makes sense because, you get all of the opt-ins. Everyone that signs up goes on your list. So it really does make sense. And guys, it doesn't have to break the bank.
Right.
Um,
That's right.
and I would add that and this is my own personal experience as well. Generally speaking, these types of events convert really, really well on ads, on paid
Mhm,
ads.
mhm.
So your cost per person, otherwise known as your cost per lead, is generally pretty good because they just convert well. So you don't have to break the bank in the
That's right.
situation to really expand your reach. People are very responsive to this type of event. So what about, all these steps and, tell us a little bit about whether or not you think it's necessary to hire a team to be able to pull this thing off.
I think to do it in the right way, you want to make sure that you're putting, now don't get me wrong, it's not like you have to be branded.
Right.
But you want to really look professional. You want to look polished. You want all your materials that are coming out there with something that people can trace back to you. You really want to make sure it looks nice, right? The
Yeah,
things are
you do.
worded well, and so um I would really recommend finding someone that's proficient, and if they have a team behind them, because there is a lot of communications going out in that 2 weeks before and the week
Yeah.
of. I just would. It's money well spent,
Yeah.
and yeah, I would highly recommend that.
Yeah. And can you share a little bit the first time you did this? Who did you work with to set up the tech? Didn't you
Yeah,
hire
so
a
yeah,
yeah, tell us
I
a little
I
about that.
yeah, I did. I went on one of the it wasn't Fiverr, but I can't even remember now. It was one of the other ones,
Yeah.
and it was a couple $100. I think maybe the whole thing to get started was $600.
Okay.
So it didn't break the bank.
Right.
But you have to also look at too, what are you getting um for your money?
Right.
So you can maybe get a landing page, but are you going to get graphics that you can share with all the speakers that are personalized to them? Are you going to get the
Mhm.
emails? Are you sitting there doing all the copy for
Oh,
everything?
yeah.
That very first time, that's what I was doing. I didn't know any better, right? So
Yeah.
so all the copy on that landing page I shared with you, that was me coming up with it. I was the brainchild.
Yeah.
I love to write, but
It's a
I
different
don't
kind
know
of
if it's a right.
writing.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
different kind of
different
writing.
animal.
It is. So, so again, you can do it sort of on a shoestring, but to make your life easier, I would say, definitely look at ways, and you don't have to, again, it doesn't have to be very expensive, but there are ways to do it. The main thing is make sure it looks present. It's
Yeah,
it's it's you. It's a reflection of you. Please be professional, right? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. All right. So as we start to wrap up, do you have any, I guess, one piece of advice that you kind of wish everyone would take? It can be really about anything related to this topic or online business building.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say for me, for this year, it was really important to make it a collaboration. I'm getting to
Okay.
a point in my career that I want to have a supportive network of providers. Let's
Love
be
that.
realistic. Not every single, am I going to be able to help every single client that comes along,
Yeah.
but I want to be able, it would be awesome to have a collaboration, this network of other uh, providers and practitioners that you could refer people to. And so I think we lose sight of that. I think in the
Yeah.
world of chiropractic, that definitely doesn't exist. I'd like to see it exist there. I'd like to see it in the nutrition world, but
Mhm.
to where we have more of a collaboration and a network to support each other, as we're all trying to build our businesses, and
Yeah.
yet we're each so unique in doing it.
I love that. I'm all about collaborating. Yeah.
Yeah.
And guys, there's more than enough people that need help, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you kind of struggle with that, there's definitely some mindset, work that can be done around that, right? Like, really trying to integrate strategies to help overcome any sense of scarcity, right? Because
Right.
believe me, there are more than enough clients out there. So,
That's right.
um,
Exactly.
so anyway, whole topic on that. Uh, where can people find out more about you?
So yeah, I feel like I'm everywhere now. You can, my current website is norwinwellness.com. I'm actually transitioning and going more through branding, but norwinwellness.com. You
Okay.
can email me at info.norwinwellness@gmail.com. Dr. Plank's Norwin Wellness on Facebook. You
Okay.
can Google me, Dr. Plank. So please reach out.
Yeah.
I honestly, I love doing summits. I'd actually like to start doing more throughout the year. And I am driven by this collaborative this attitude that I
Yeah.
just
I love
want to
it.
embrace. And so maybe you're somebody that's just sort of getting started, not, sort of shaky on what you're doing. By all means, I'd love to have you reach out to me, and let's see, what we can do. If you're a client of Leslie's, let's get it done, because you're
Yeah.
the future. So let's do it together.
Love that. Beautiful. All right. Well, Susan, thank you so very much for spending
Thank you,
time with
Leslie.
us today. Really appreciate all of your insight and your wisdom. This is such an amazing strategy to help you to grow your email list. So thank you for sharing everything about it so openly. And I hope this was helpful for you, all of you in the audience today as well. Really, so I've done a similar strategy. I think this is my third year. Mine is a little bit different. I did a gift giveaway around the holidays. So point being, there's multiple ways that you can kind of achieve the same outcome of really jump starting that email list. So I would just say, if this is an area where you feel like, gosh, I need more help, reach out. Definitely reach out. I'm at Lesli@lesliebitel.com. Ask questions, guys. We will go back in the chat and answer any questions that come up for you and really try to provide some direction. All right. In the meantime, thanks for joining. Thanks for listening to the recording. And I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll see you next week. All right. Bye for now. See you next time, everybody. So, Dr. Susan, how can you give us a little insight in terms of how to catch this event live?
Sure. So we've talked sort of about the framework of how to do a summit, but to see one live, like what we're talking about, to see it happen, please go to weightlossrebootsummit.com, weightlossrebootsummit.com,
Okay.
register, and then you'll get the link. Come join us, right? Because we
Okay.
still have a day left. So come join us, and then you'll get to see sort of all of it put together.
That sounds great. Okay. I think I'll do that myself because you've got an amazing lineup of speakers. So would
Yeah.
love to see them in action. Many of them are my clients. So love that. So, okay, everybody, I would recommend that you do that just to get a better feel of exactly how all these pieces fit together. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great